Welcome, welcome to another episode of Street Smarts and Bad Decisions, where survival is definitely the curriculum and streets are definitely the classroom. So I'm over here at my favorite spot, the Korean Bell in beautiful San Pedro, California. So I have a special episode for you guys today. I actually reached out to Kalena in Oahu, Hawaii, and he opted in to do an interview with me. So he's actually live there on this episode in Hawaii, filming for me. Filming his story. And I just wanted to share that with you guys. I hope you guys enjoy and have a blessed day. Thank you. Like, share, subscribe, and all the things. Thank you so much.
Hey, how's it going? Mera Aina Kazos, and to the world beyond Hawaii shores. I'm coming on here to share my testimony and my story that involved learning to be streetwise by making bad decisions. Shout out to my tita Melissa for asking me to appear here on this podcast. I am located in the state of Hawaii on the island of Oahu. Right now we are at Kanewai Park, one of the parks I spent many time and many years living in and around. The year was January 31st, 1991. I was born to two parents who was already drug addicts and substance abuse users, including alcohol. I am the youngest sibling of three children, sorry. My older brother, my older sister, and myself. When I was born, I came into this world on the east side of Oahu, in Kahaluu, Kaneohe side. We moved to Papakolea Homestead where I was raised and spent most of my younger years being taught by my grandfather in his home on how to be and how to struggle and survive through life. Through his teachings, I have been taught how to survive and move like a military-minded individual and how to be smart because he was a survivor, not a victim of war. My younger years, it was filled with a lot of joy, a lot of happy times, a lot of family traditions, and things that truly mattered as human and as humans. I resided in the homesteads of Papakolea from 3 to 6 years old. And at the prime age of 6 years old, my grandfather died. My grandmother, step-grandmother, took over the home and removed me and my family from the home, and we lost the home to her family. We moved out of Papakolea and into different homes with family until we could get our own place. When I was in preschool, my father, he tried to kidnap me from preschool, Harris United Methodist Church preschool. And so I was in the kind of like the foster care system, or, being held in the possession and the guardianship of my family. One being Auntie Nancy Naiole, where I resided with her and her family in Hawaii Kai. I also lived with an auntie named Auntie Pinky Leao. and her family in Papakoleo. I also lived with an auntie in Pearl City for a little while until my mom got me back in her guardianship and possession. That's when I recall living at Pelly Lane in Honolulu across Queens Medical Center. For me, this is where my life started going downhill, not for myself, but us as a family, as a whole, as a unit, as a platoon. This is where I started seeing a lot of violence coming out of one of my siblings. I'm not gonna say who, because that is my sibling, and I don't want to throw him under the table until he is ready to speak out on his own. We started experiencing a lot of violence, a lot of hardships, as my mother was now single and had nobody to rely upon, including family and friends, many of them. She had a few that she could rely upon, but it was very rare. This was my elementary days at Royal Elementary School. I would often see this one sibling going in and out of Kahimohala and the Queens Mental Hospital or Institute for Youth. This is where a lot of violence from my mother started happening. A lot of disruption in the home, in the feng shui of our family and the unit that she built. We moved back to Papakoleo Homestead after being evicted. And my mom ended up back on drugs and using alcohol. We moved back into my auntie Sylvia's house for a little bit until we could get back on our feet. This is when I moved back into the Makiki area, right off of Pensacola and Walder. We are now older, and things started even getting more worse with the damage that has already been done and culminating over time and cultivating bigger and bigger over time, and never finding ho'oponopono, time to make right within ourselves and as a family and ohana as one. I was in middle school, and this is when I started acting out and lashing out and replaying what I was seeing in the home to the adults that I was looking up to point me down the right path and guide me into being an authentic, genuine person from baby or Kiki days. Because of these things that was happening in the home, it disrupted my life, and not just at home, but as well as in school and my social life. Nobody knew what was really going on in the home because I wouldn't speak about it, because I was often told not to go and share what I was seeing at home or hearing at home. So I remained quiet and silent. But because I remained quiet and silent, but yet I still had so much turmoil going on in my life because of the problems at home, I would often go to school and not engage in school. I would often, doodle all my paperwork and my homework and things like that, and I would never get anything done because I could never stay focused on what was at hand and the task that was supposed to be completed, because there was so much violence and turmoil in the home that it disrupted me as a keiki, being able to stay focused. My one sibling was still going in and out of the Kahimohala and the Queens ward for mental patients. This is when I also started reacting with violence and responding with violence because of the nature that I was raised in and the understanding that it was okay to respond and react with violent nature. In the 8th grade, I got removed and got put into a program for troubled youth and adolescents. It was called the Honolulu Community Action Program. Or no, Kamalama Program. I apologize. Kamalama Program. Where we went to travel to Molokai, and I got to learn about the Hawaiian culture and meet some family through the program. We also got to work in the Lo'i, travel to Halava Valley, and learn to be one with nature and one with the Aina as locals and not just Kanaka. That program stopped and funds was lost, so the program had to, end. And that's when I went back to having no guidance and no understanding of discipline and accountability, because I feel like as a boy, I should have had a male figure in my life that could have played the role of showcasing it in the physical and also teaching me those things and those character traits in my mental. I ended up moving, and we ended up getting myself into Kaimuki High School, the home of the Bulldogs. In the 10th grade, I was troubled, and I never liked going to school because of bullies and just being outcasted and from a different, Ahupua'a system or a different county or, part of the island, as we say in Hawaii. So it was hard for me to attend school daily, so I would often dig out and not even show up. I would just go to homeroom and then come back at lunch and hang out during lunch and then dig out again. I got into some trouble with some kids in school, and things happened and transpired to me getting removed from the Department of Education. I ended up in the Honolulu Community Action Program, which was a 5-month program for troubled youth and adolescents and young adults. I got my GED/C-based diploma to Waipahu Adult Night School. I started my own clothing brand called Poverty Stricken at 17 when I graduated high school. I also started making music with my tita, Shanalyn, who goes by the name now Shen, Shen. We used to make music at her home in Kalihi, right off of School Street. For me, it was good that I found this outlet to release my emotions and just write down things that was in my head. Because of the things that I had to endure for so long from such a young kid, the violence, the drugs, everything that I had to see and endure. I don't want to continue speaking out too much because I sound like I'm a crybaby. But because of those things, I had to find a way to let it all out. So I got into poetry writing, and that's how I got steered into the direction of making and writing music. I started hanging out with certain types of individuals where I started drinking alcohol at work and even after work with other types of individuals and groups of people, where we would often go out and find trouble, fight with people, shoot at people, and do things like that. This was when I was about 17 or 18 years old already. And I also started doing drugs myself, dabbling in it here and there every once in a while, but I still had jobs. Then my life started going downhill when my license got taken from me for having a fake alias. Well, last year, when I tried to get a loan, which got approved, I found out my name on January 2nd, 1991, or February 2nd, 1991. The Social Security Administration input my name onto their system or into their system wrongfully. either by accident or just as a typo. So all my life I've been walking around using a fake name. And I never could understand why people would say my name differently and say, no, but it says here that this is your name. Last year, I finally got to figure that out and get it fixed. So with that being said, when I went to the DMV to get my license at 18, I didn't know about this mix-up on my social security card. So when I went to the DMV, I got my driver's license and I was driving one day and got pulled over. And the cop took my license and said, brother, I gotta confiscate this because it's a fake alias or a fake ID or state driver's license. So he did. And that's when my life kind of started going downhill with Makuahine again. This is gonna be my second time being removed from the home. And the last time that I'm ever gonna, try to go back to mend that relationship. Tickets started compiling. And mom got fed up, felt like I was making stupid choices, not taking care of things. But I could never figure out why I was getting pulled over with using a fake name. Today, I take accountability for my actions. And today, I'm trying to fix it and make it a whole lot better. I know it's going to take a lot of work, but, one day at a time, we're going to keep keeping on and doing what we got to. But that's when my life started going downhill and I started getting more involved with drug use, the partying outside of home, and then getting kicked out into the streets. You get swallowed up even more. Started getting involved with the gang violence, the stealing, the robbing, all of that causes. If I could go back and change one thing to my journey, causes, I wouldn't. Because if I did, I wouldn't be the person I am today with the understanding and the wisdom that I know if I didn't walk the path that I walked. We're going to keep keeping up and keep keeping on. With our heads up and our pu'uvai is always stronger. Because through it all, we're going to build perseverance. And with perseverance comes character. And with character comes strength, causes strength to walk in your image, your truth, and your authentic self. One love, causes. Salutes, shakas to the world from Hawaii. One love.